Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Soccer Scope. As we approach the 2026 World Cup, the Spanish national team presents the football world with a fascinating, almost contradictory case study. On the surface, they are the undisputed apex predators of the international game. They arrive in North America, sitting comfortably at number 1 in the FIFA World Rankings, carrying the mantle of reigning Euro 2024 champions. Their journey through the recent World Cup qualifying campaign was not just successful. It was a clinic in cold, calculated dominance, as they brushed aside opposition with an undefeated record and a defensive solidity that felt almost inevitable. It is based on this overwhelming mountain of evidence that the predictive algorithms have crowned them favorites. Opta's supercomputer, running thousands of complex simulations for the upcoming tournament, has assigned Spain a staggering 17% probability of lifting the trophy, a significant margin ahead of perennial powerhouses like France, Brazil, or England. Yet, if you scratch just beneath this gleaming surface of invincibility, you find a massive, jagged scar acquired in the summer of 2025. In the Nations League final against neighboring rivals Portugal, this seemingly perfect Spanish machine sputtered and then spectacularly broke down. Despite playing scintillating attacking football and taking the lead twice in a chaotic match, they crumbled defensively in critical moments, eventually drawing 2-2 and losing inexplicably on penalties. Many pundits were quick to label this a choke, arguing that Spain could bully smaller nations in qualifiers, but lacked the steel for elite finals. However, here at Soccer Scope, our analysis points to a different, more alarming reality. That defeat didn't prove their new tactical system was fundamentally flawed. Rather, it demonstrated just how terrifyingly dependent that entire system is on the existence of one single human being, Rodri. A cruel pre-tournament injury forced the world's best holding midfielder to watch the entire Nations League campaign from the stands. His absence was not just a missing player. It was a missing structural pillar that triggered a defensive chain reaction, leading directly to the collapse against Portugal's high-speed transition attacks. This raises the ultimate question for the 2026 World Cup. Just how unbeatable is the full-strength version of Spain? And crucially, did that Rodri-less nightmare in 2025 expose a fatal blueprint that opposition coaches are now frantically studying? Over the next 20 minutes, we will conduct a forensic tactical autopsy of this team, using the stark contrast between the dominant Spain with Rodri and the fragile Spain without him, to decode the true nature of the world's #1 contender. If you are passionate about football analysis that refuses to accept surface-level narratives and digs for the root causes, please hit that subscribe button right now to support Soccer Scope and join us on these deep dives. Now, to get our discussion started, here is a survey question for you to ponder based on the evidence we have touched upon. What is the single biggest threat to Spain's World Cup dream in 2026? A. The tactical brilliance of opposing managers finding ways to counter their style. B. The sheer structural reliance on Rodri, meaning an injury to him derails everything. Please leave your opinion in the comments section below by typing A or B. I am very interested to read your perspectives before we begin the breakdown. To truly comprehend why statistical models and football experts currently rate Spain as the global benchmark, we must analyze the most potent, complete version of this team, the version that features a fully fit Rodri operating at its heart. Under the guidance of manager Luis de la Fuente, La Roja has successfully executed a difficult tactical evolution, moving beyond the dogmatic, often criticized, sterile possession that defined the twilight years of the previous era. Under predecessors like Luis Enrique, Spain frequently posted overwhelming possession statistics, often exceeding 75%, but these numbers were too often achieved through safe, horizontal U-shaped circulation around the opponent's penalty area, lacking the necessary penetration to break down low defensive blocks. De La Fuente's brilliance hasn't been to discard that technical foundation, but to weaponize it. The current tactical philosophy is a highly effective hybrid. They still leverage their superior technical quality to dominate the ball and dictate the game's rhythm, frequently recording possession statistics north of 65% against almost any opponent. However, the critical evolution lies in their intent in the final third. Today's Spain uses that control as a trap. They use slower, methodical build-up play to lull opponents into a false sense of security, tempting them to press higher up the pitch. The instant an opponent's defensive structure loses compactness or shows a vertical crack, Spain shifts gears immediately, executing rapid vertical strikes designed to exploit the space behind the defensive line. Rodri is the fundamental, indispensable key that unlocks this entire tactical transition. He is not merely a holding midfielder. He is the system's central processor. Defensively, his role is paramount to allowing Spain to play their high defensive line. His elite ball recovery numbers, consistently ranking in the top percentile for midfielders across Europe's top competitions, allow Spain to execute an aggressive counterpress. Rodri's ability to anticipate danger and extinguish opposition counterattacks before they even begin means Spain can sustain relentless pressure in the opposition half without fear of being exposed. Furthermore, offensively, he acts as the team's metronome and quarterback combined. He dictates the tempo shift, recognizing the exact moment to stop recycling possession horizontally and instead fire an incisive, line-breaking vertical pass from deep that activates the attacking players. When Rodri is directing play, this complex ecosystem of high pressing and vertical attacking operates with clockwork precision, making this version of Spain arguably the most complete and formidable team in world football. The most decisive tactical paradigm shift implemented by Luis de la Fuente lies on the flanks, representing a complete philosophical departure from the previous decade of Spanish football. For years, La Roja prioritized midfield control above all else, often deploying false wingers, playmakers like Isco or David Silva who would instinctively drift centrally to create numerical overloads. While this ensured possession dominance, it frequently resulted in a congested, narrow pitch where defenses could comfortably sit deep and compact. De La Fuente has boldly abandoned that approach in favor of pure, classic wingers, entrusting the wide areas to the explosive, youthful talents of Lamine Yamal on the right and Nico Williams on the left. Their primary tactical instruction is one of extreme positional discipline. They must hug the touchline. This is not a suggestion. It is a foundational requirement of the system. By positioning themselves as wide as the pitch allows, Yamal and Williams force the opposing defensive block to stretch horizontally to its breaking point. This creates a deadly dual threat that few modern defenses have successfully neutralized. Firstly, it isolates the opposing fullbacks. Yamal and Williams are not just pace merchants, they possess elite 1v1 dribbling ability, consistently ranking among the highest in Europe for progressive carries and successful take-ons in the final third. When isolated on the touchline with space to operate, they become a nightmare for any defender, capable of beating their man on the outside to deliver dangerous crosses from the byline or cutting inside to shoot, as seen repeatedly during a Euro 2024 triumph and the World Cup qualifying campaign. Secondly, and perhaps more crucially for the overall system, this extreme width fundamentally alters the defensive geometry of the opponent. By dragging opposing fullbacks out toward the touchline, they pull them away from their center-back partners. This opens up vast seams in the critical half spaces, the channels between the fullbacks and center-backs. These are the areas where modern football matches are won and lost. By generating this space, Yamal and Williams create the necessary lanes for Spain's dynamic, box-crashing midfielders, players like Fabian Ruiz, Pedri, or Mikel Merino, to make penetrating runs into the penalty area undetected. This tactical tweak transforms Spain's possession from a passive tool of control into an active weapon of chance creation, making them dangerous not just from wide areas, but simultaneously through the heart of the defense. To fully exploit the vast central spaces generated by the extreme width of Yamal and Williams, De La Fuente has engineered a significant shift in the profile and function of his midfielders. He has moved away from the traditional Spanish archetype of the pass master, players whose primary and often sole function was lateral ball circulation to maintain possession. Instead, De La Fuente prioritizes and cultivates dynamic, box-to-box midfielders who possess the engine and timing to make late, penetrating runs into the opposition penalty area to directly contribute goals. This tactical adjustment turned Spain's midfield from a passive possession maintenance unit into an active goal-scoring threat from the second line. The data emphatically backs this shift, showing a significant increase in both touches in the opposition box and goals scored by Spain's midfielders over the last 2 years under De La Fuente's tenure. A striking piece of evidence from the Nations League final against Portugal perfectly illustrates the success of this evolution. With the team's primary defensive anchor, Rodri, absent due to injury, it was his deputy, Martin Zubimendi, a player whose club role at Real Sociedad is primarily defensive, who opened the scoring. His goal was not a long-range screamer, but the result of an intelligent, well-timed run into the box to finish from close range. This demonstrates that De La Fuente's attacking system is so well-designed and integrated that even players typically tasked with deeper, more conservative roles are encouraged and tactically equipped to thrive in goal-scoring positions when the opportunity arises. This makes Spain's attack multidimensional and incredibly difficult to defend against. They are not reliant on a single striker, as danger can arrive from any angle and any player. However, football is fundamentally a game of balance. While Zubimendi's excellent goal-scoring contribution highlighted the system's attacking potency, it could not mask the immense, destabilizing void that Rodri's absence created in the team's defensive phase, which we must now examine. This brings us to the fundamental question that undermines all the positive statistical modeling. If Spain's attacking system functioned well enough to score twice against an elite Portuguese defense, why did they lose the final? The answer lies in the catastrophic structural void created by Rodri's absence. That match was not merely a penalty shootout loss. It was a harsh, empirically proven expose of just how alarmingly dependent Spain's entire defensive mechanism is on their Manchester City anchor. Without him, the system's greatest strength, its aggressive, high defensive line, dramatically transformed into its most critical weakness. The primary point of failure was the complete collapse of what tactical analysts call rest defense. The defensive structure maintained behind the ball while the team is attacking to prevent counterattacks. Rodri is practically a one-man defensive system in this regard. His preternatural ability to read the game, combined with his physicality, allows him to cover vast swathes of ground horizontally in front of the center backs, snuffing out transition threats before they can even develop. While Martin Zubimendi is an excellent distributor, he simply does not possess this same defensive radius or anticipatory instinct. Portugal ruthlessly exploited this reality. Their first equalizer, finished by Nuno Mendes, was a textbook case study in exploiting the space Rodri usually occupies. A rapid Portuguese transition bypassed Spain's initial midfield press with frightening ease. The crucial zone directly in front of the defensive line was completely unmanned, leaving Spain's center backs, who lack elite recovery pace, exposed to a direct high-speed running threat they could not contain. Furthermore, the absence of Rodri signaled the loss of the team's ultimate stabilizer, both rhythmically and emotionally. When a match enters a chaotic phase and the opponent is applying immense pressure, as Portugal did in the closing stages, Rodri is the player who demands the ball, slows the tempo, and verbally reorganizes the team's defensive shape. Without that calming, authoritative influence on the pitch, Spain's defensive discipline fractured under duress. The late equalizer scored by Cristiano Ronaldo was a damning indictment of this loss of defensive focus. In a moment requiring absolute concentration and coordinated marking against one of history's greatest penalty box threats, Spain's backline looked disorganized and panicked, failing to win the crucial duel at the critical moment. It was precisely the type of sloppy, disorganized defensive sequence that Rodri's vocal leadership and organizational skills usually prevent. The final ultimately proved that De La Fuente has built a formidable machine, but without Rodri as the linchpin, it is a machine that breaks down spectacularly when stressed by elite opposition. In conclusion, the evidence presents a clear and nuanced picture of Spain as they head towards the 2026 World Cup. When they are fully equipped with their entire arsenal, particularly with a fit Rodri anchoring the midfield, they are justifiably considered the most complete and formidable team on the planet. The tactical evolution under De La Fuente has been a success, creating an attacking unit diverse enough to score against elite defenses even when their primary playmaker is absent, as Zubimendi's goal in the Nations League final proved. Therefore, the 17% probability of winning the World Cup assigned to them by Opta's predictive models is a deserved reflection of this extremely high ceiling. However, the painful Nations League final defeat serves as a critical reality check that cannot be ignored. It stands as irrefutable proof that this team is not a flawless machine. The loss demonstrated that if Rodri's heart should skip a beat due to injury or suspension at the World Cup, the entire system is at risk of catastrophic failure against elite opposition that knows how to exploit the resulting defensive spaces. Spain's immense strength is genuine, but their Achilles heel has now been exposed for the entire world to see. This leads us to the ultimate question for the 2026 tournament. Can Spain win the World Cup if fate deals them a cruel hand and they lose Rodri once again? Or will manager Luis de la Fuente use the painful lessons from that defeat against Portugal to find a tactical solution that reduces this alarming dependency? Please share your expert opinions in the comments section below. If you found this deep dive analysis that goes beyond the surface to find the root causes valuable, please hit that like button to support our production team. Make sure to subscribe to SoccerScope and turn on notifications, as we will be returning soon with more ruthless tactical breakdowns of the world's top teams. Thank you for your time and attention. This is SoccerScope, signing off until next time.